So for the practice today, I would love you to just walk away if you don't have a block and get something that you could use that's quite sturdy, can still be a cushion. I would love you, while you're adventuring out, to get a towel and to potentially roll it up. If it's not fixed with rubber bands like mine, it's not a problem today. We will only move over it. So a hand towel, also maybe quite thick to roll up, and potentially also a strap. Now, if you want to use the towel as a strap, that's fine too, or a shawl is good. And if you have a bolster, have the bolster as well. I know we're using everything today, but just gather what you can find. A towel, a block, a strap, a bolster. Anything you don't have, we're able to replace that or ignore it. Now, if you happen to do the recording, you would also have walked away. So it's a good time for me to wait until everybody has returned, and maybe waiting as patiently as Sammy does. So whenever you've gotten most of the items, just placing them somewhere near the mat. And we will begin today, and I trust that you have found a towel. Now, mine is a hand towel, a thicker hand towel, and I've just basically put that on the floor, tucked one side in and just rolled it up quite tightly. As I said, if you don't have any rubber bands to fix it with, that's fine. I got this from a dear friend who's practiced with teachers using these towels, and it's quite nice, and I've been doing that for a little bit now. So placing the towel onto the floor and rolling it up really tightly. So you've got kind of a sausage style thing that I have. It's a bit of an oversized sausage though. And try not to panic. So making sure that it's about hip width will be enough, doesn't have to be any wider than that. We will use this towel for a very gentle form of fascia release. And fascia release is quite beneficial as much before as after the practice, and happens during the practice quite automatically, as we oftentimes move, and fascia is quite lazy and stubborn. I would love to start by stimulating that. So once you've rolled up your towel, place it down on your mat in front of you. I will lie down on my tummy, so we will begin in a crocodile-ish shape. And I will lie down and have this rolled up towel right in my hip flexors. I would love us to just give them a bit of a release before we do anything else. So lying down over the rolled up towel, or pushing that into place when you feel ready. And as you lie over it, the hip grease is right on the towel. I invite you to, instead of bringing the arms forward like in a normal crocodile, just let them lengthen, soften down by the sides, And start with your favorite ear down on the floor. Now, when you're lying over it, you could choose according to how this feels, this towel. If it doesn't quite get the hip creases, you can bend the ends in a little bit, or whatever you require to do to get the towel there. Maybe the palms of your hands by the sides of the body are facing up and the shoulders are dropping down towards the floor. Allow the shoulders to lift and lower a few times as if you were semi there and snuggling into your position. If you want your eyes open, that's fine. Just find a solid spot at your very low eye height at the moment, or close the eyes. And just allowing yourself to settle over the little hurdle you placed underneath you. And as usual, we're then beginning to check in. So there's obviously the towel underneath you, in which you can try and relax to. Noticing where else you might be holding any tension or discomfort. And also where you're very comfortable right now. So knowing that these two aspects of being are always there at the same time, we just have to look for them. And as you're lying here and still the head in that same direction, you could start to just move your hips a little bit and kind of moving over this towel in a very gentle, wiggly way. You might notice that there could be some tight spots that the towel is working on, as you might have been sitting a lot currently. Just see how this feels for you. It's no right or wrong, it's just an experience. Allowing yourself then to rest again without any movement. And with your head being turned to one side, I will invite you now to lift the opposite side's leg just a little bit off the ground. Try and engage into that leg as if you could stretch down into the big toe. Noticing how that feels in the hip crease in particular. See if you can hold for a moment. And then relaxing that leg back down, taking a full deep in and out breath, and feel where the breath is going as you're expanding your breath now. And we will do that same movement, same leg once again. So it is the leg that is away from the side that you're looking at that we're lifting once more. Really pointing out through the big toe. Holding for a bit. And then relaxing the leg back down. Allowing again the body to soften, to release. And you might begin to notice quite a difference between the two sides. So between right and left hip crease. Maybe elsewhere too, just observing. I invite you now to change your head around. So to turn your head towards the other side. Keep your arms resting like this. And you could again explore a little bit. How does it feel to wiggle the hips from side to side? And then let your hips come back into stillness. relaxing again. Just noticing how's the body on this side. How are you in general as you're lying here? And as we've changed sides with the head, we will also use the other leg now, the one that's away from the side you're looking at. As we take a breath in, lifting that leg up into the air, maybe just a little. It's not about how high we're lifting, but really engaging down right towards the toes as we hold. And then releasing the leg down, softening again, the body's relaxing, and just noticing what's occurring in this side. How might that affect the rest of your body? And we will repeat that one more time. On the in-breath, lifting the same leg up again, really engaging right down towards the toes, aiming to keep the other side fairly relaxed as we're holding here. And maybe you notice a bit more intense sensation around the hip flexors. And then releasing that back down and softening again. Let's take a full deep breath in and a long, slow breath out. Turning your head into center as you place your hands down by the sides of your ribs. We'll come off our little towel as we push into the mat. Removing that, and you could place it down by the side. I recommend to open the knees now, touch the big toes together, sit towards the heels, and relax again into a child's pose. Now, if you do have a bolster, you might bring the bolster in and maybe even wrapping your arms underneath and cuddling the bolster so to relax into the child's pose. It's not essential to use a bolster, it's just an option if you like. Now, if we do use the bolster, I will remind you in a moment just to turn the head the other direction. If you're resting with the forehead down, there's no need to, and likely there's none if you're not using a bolster. So if your head is turned, lift it up and take it the other way. I would ask you to breathe rather deeply here now, to expand into the belly, into the rib cage, and potentially on the out breath to let your hips sink quite deeply down towards the heels. Deep, full in-breath. Long, slow out-breath. We will then release our child's pose. If you're using a bolster, you can put that away. Coming up onto our hands and knees. So find a stance for shoulder distance hands, hip distance knees, and then move a little bit freely. You might want to have some sideway movements, some that around and curve the spine, and maybe there's a combination of all of this, even maybe a movement of the head. And before we find a seated position to continue from, I'd love you to try one stretch where we place, maybe it's the right toe first onto the ground to open our knee out to the side, and then squeezing back and pausing here for a moment. Then to release the right knee back down, keeping left big toe on the ground as we open the left knee. And then an out breath as we're squeezing back and then pausing here for a moment, finding some length across the glutes, the side of the waist. And then releasing the knee back down again. We will slightly lean forward from here. If it feels right for you, you can come with me. Otherwise, please move down to the floor for a Cobra. You could lift your feet off the ground and now allow your hips to sink down while you're opening your heart. Too strong for your back? Please lie on the mat, lift head and chest for Cobra. Let's hold here for one more breath. And then curl yourself back to sit. If you would like to sit on your heels, I find that quite easy to keep my spine long. But you could also use your block or cushion, whatever you brought to the mat, to sit on if you prefer your legs to be forward and maybe in an easy pose. You could also, if in doubt, just simply sit on a chair. So let your arms drop down by the sides. We'll take an inhale to lift the left arm up. And with the out breath, just going into a side bend. Softening down into the lower arm and letting the other arm reach over the head. If you find it's beneficial, you can either turn your gaze down or you can turn it up with a light chin tuck towards the armpits. Keeping length in the side of the body as you take your next deep breath in and maybe deepening yet a little bit more on the next out breath. We'll then allow our arm and shoulder to roll forwards and down and then lift ourselves back up to sit. Now, I still don't move my left arm, but you will. As you inhale, lifting the other arm up right towards the ceiling. And as you're breathing out, leaning over to the side. Keep your arm extended, palm facing down. Softening through the lower arm as we're holding. Few deep breaths in and out. Feeling the length coming through the side body. And one more deep inhalation and a long, slow out breath to deepen. And then rolling down and forward as we come up into a seated shape. Now for our practice today, I've chosen a mudra that some of you might have worked with before, but they never get boring at all because we change such a lot. I will show you the mudra on the screen while you stay seated this way. So it's Surya Mudra. As we fold our ring finger in and place them down just below the base joint of the thumb. We will then place our thumb over the ring finger to kind of hold it in place. The other fingers are still pointing up. So it's the ring finger coming to just below the base joint of the thumb. And the thumb then going over the ring finger. As we hold this mudra to encourage the energy of light and sun, we're also stimulating the area of the solar plexus as we're heading into spring with massive steps at the moment. I invite you to close your eyes. And we will continue on with 3 rounds of Om Ram. Ram, our seed sound for the solar plexus. So let us breathe in deeply and out completely. And then inhaling for a first round. Om Ram. Om Ram. Om Ram. And then just pausing, holding the mudra, keeping an upright seat. As we relax the mudra again, you might want to open the eyes. If you have shoulder, neck issues, a lot of tension sitting there, I recommend to do the next practice without the arm movement. And of course, for that reason, I will only demonstrate it with one arm, but you are encouraged to move both. I'd love us to work with Bastrika, which means that when we're breathing in, the belly comes out. And when we're breathing out, we're pulling the belly in quite quickly. And there it's the whole belly that we're pulling in. At the same time, when we're inhaling, we're reaching both arms up and stretching out our fingers. And when we breathe out quickly, we're pulling down with fists right down towards the shoulders, and the belly is tucking in at the same time. So let us begin. You can choose with or without the arms. If you dare, you can close the eyes already. Inhaling, reaching up. Keep pulling the belly in. Hands aren't essential as you're moving, but stretch up fingers if you can. Pull in the tummy, much more important, and this can be quite quick. And then pause. Notice what is happening. There might be a lot going on. There could be an element of dizziness. Notice how all of this settles after a while. And we'll practice that for another round. Your choice again. If you want to move the arms, it's open hands on an in-breath, fists pulling down on the out-breath, belly moving out on the inhale and pulling quickly in on the exhale. Let's start again. And pause, resting again. Just observe what's happening, how you feel. As all good things are 3, we'll add one more round. Let's begin. And pause. Allow that energy to settle. Notice what you're feeling. Oftentimes help us to get the energy going in the body. And maybe we've got enough now to find our way up into a standing shape. So we might step our feet down onto the mat. If you like, you can use the width of the mat, but it's okay if you turn sideways in a moment. Your stance being quite relaxed and wide. Maybe hip distance or slightly further. As you allow your knees to be soft, get a bit of movement into the pelvis. And think of the pelvis being a big bowl filled with water so that we can balance our pelvis out and hold. We will come back into our mudra, so placing our ring finger onto the pad of the thumb just below the first joint and bringing our thumb over the top of the ring finger. Again, please do move both arms and visualize that you're drawing a sun around you. Eyes can be steady or closed. Using full length in-breath to lift the arms out and up. And full length out-breath to lower the arms back down by your sides. Again, careful with movements, with shoulder problems, upper body neck tension, as we continue practicing this in your own way. Ideally, both arms are lifting out and up if you're feeling good. Or you could also just breathe in fully and deeply, hold the mudra and visualize drawing that sun around you. Take another deep breath. And then when your sun is completed on the way downwards, pause again. Releasing this mudra for a moment. As we're stepping our feet quite wide apart now, you can turn the toes out towards the corners. And please do unlock the knees a little bit. So same as we did in that standing position, rather than pressing through, just unlocking the knees and feeling that we can stabilize the knee joint with that. With the next inhale, lifting both arms out and up again, interlacing the fingers this time, maybe Charlie's Angel's Mudra as your index fingers are pointing up together. We go into 7 rounds of the wood chopper. So you can count yourself as we breathe in, reaching up, and then big breath out of the mouth and chopping through while you're bending your knees. In breath. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and staying right down here as we turn our heels out and soften the body down towards a forward fold. If your hands can't quite around, you might place your block underneath them. Otherwise, your hands or fingers pointing down at shoulder distance. Lifting the shoulders lightly as we come into a steady hold to increase our mobility in the back line, as well as around the backs of the legs. Lengthening your out breath as you gently engage the abdomen while exhaling. Relaxing the belly and expanding it on the in-breath. And then reactivating the belly, slowly pulling in on the out breath. Now stay with this way of breathing and in the shape for another 3 breaths if you can. And when you completed those 3 breaths, lift up onto your fingertips. Turning your right toes towards the shorter end of the mat. And now rocking a little bit forward and backwards. Now bringing some mobility into legs and hips. Will allow us to unfold that into a warrior 2. Before you do so, inhale, soften your body downwards. And when you're breathing out, curl up from your center, coming to stand. And as you're inhaling, open the arms out to warrior 2 and breathe out to bring a bend into your right knee. Now, arms ideally are at shoulder height. Try and center yourself. If you can see yourself on the screen, you might be able to really find your center. You could use Surya Mudra again if you want to fold your ring finger in, place the thumb on top, and then maybe looking forward into the mudra as you're stabilizing your stance. Let's allow ourselves 2 more breaths, just holding, feeling into the stability coming from your legs. Then releasing your hand down, or both hands rather, on top of the thigh. Take a step in and out with your left leg. Now, if you happen to have a wall near you, you might want to play with this wall. If you don't, it's fine to just stand on the mat. Make sure that the left leg is in, so the hips are now facing forward and the front leg will become straight. Feel that distance in the hips and the alignment here as you're inhaling. And then as you're breathing out, just tilting from the hips and leaning into a half forward bend. You can now take your left hand and place it to the outside of your right leg. And if you've got a wall nearby, place the right hand fingertips onto the wall and start to crawl them up. And you might follow the hand with the gaze. If you don't, your right hand might come into the side of the waist and you would start to peel your right shoulder back. There's much more balance involved. And with using the wall, you might get a little bit deeper. Depending on how close you might stand to the wall, you could actually reach that arm up fully if you like. Take a breath in and out in the shape you've attempted. And then bring a bend into the right knee. Reach your hands back down to the ground. Turn your feet back forward. And we will change our position as we now turn our left foot to the short end of the mat. And again, begin to wiggle from side to side or forward and backwards, however you see yourself positioned there. We're preparing again for warrior 2. So when you're next inhaling, let your body collapse towards the ground. And when you're breathing out, curling up. As you inhale, let your arms extend out to shoulder height. And then bring a bend into the left knee to settle into your warrior shape. I will turn my palms up and come back into Surya Mudra. You can do the same if you like. So ring finger towards the thumb and thumb on top of the ring finger. Turning your gaze towards your left hand or forward in this warrior position. As you look here, make sure your torso is grounded, centered. The feet are anchored into the floor with the arches lifted. So we're nice, tall, strong, and even a bit determined. One more breath. Then releasing your hands down on top of the thigh. Take your right foot now, step it in and out towards the side. Same here, if you want to use a wall, stand with that side to the wall now. We bring the hands onto the hips to check the positioning and making sure the hips are easily facing forward. And then on the out breath, we will lean halfway into that revolved triangle or towards a half forward bend. It is the right hand now that goes to the outside of the left leg. And if you're not working with the wall, your left hand could be in the side of the waist as you draw your left shoulder back into a twist. Otherwise, you might crawl up your left hand all the way up the wall, or maybe just a little bit. Keep yourself ideally in balance in that stance, opening more deeply into the twist if that is available to you. Wall sometimes is a good helper to get that movement into the spine and provides us with some extra stability. Now we will release that as we're curling in, this time to come up into standing and maybe stepping our feet a little bit closer. So I don't know how you're feeling. I feel a little bit taller now. Maybe you are the same. For the dancer that I would like to use as our balance and creating even more space here, you could also use the wall if you're feeling a little bit in trouble with your balance today. So my suggestion would be to stand on the right foot first and to bend the left knee. To take a hold of your foot or your ankle and to bring your knees together. Now, if you can't do that because of knee problems, you could just lift the foot and not hold on. If you can't reach, you might use your strap or towel to take a hold of this foot. Now, while you keep your knees together, bring your heel towards your buttocks, and then at first, just moving your hips forward as we're finding a little bit of space there. The other hand, if you want to balance, can extend forward. And while we've got a specific mudra today, you could bring your ring finger to the thumb into Surya Mudra. And from there, or holding onto the wall, can you push your foot into your hand? Now let us start to open the body. Keep the chest open, your gaze wide open. The heart lifted. Maybe the knee is just rising a little bit behind if this is all too strong. Take another breath. If you're holding onto the wall, maybe just releasing for that breath. And then bring your arm back down. Bring your foot back down. Now, if you're using the wall, you might want to turn yourself around to come to the other side. And the same here, with or without holding on, we will bring our right knee to a bend and trying to catch the foot. All the different options of just bending the knee or using a prop to get the foot are still valid. Bringing your heel to the buttocks while your knees are touching, and then moving your hips forward to access the front of the thigh, the hip flexors. Your choice then to come back to Surya Mudra with the left hand, or to hold onto the wall to lift the arm. We'll bring the foot back into the hand from here, and the same here. Open your heart, open your gaze, and let the knee lift up behind you. Whether the foot is pushing into the hand or is in the air, up to you. We will stay for another breath. If you were holding on, you might try and release the wall. And then we will lower again to stand. Come into mountain pose, close the eyes. Try not to adjust anything, just feeling what's there. Let's take a deep breath in. To do so, let the belly expand and gently contract as you're breathing out. We will from here find our way back down onto the mat. And we will come straight into a reclined position. So we will step our feet in front. Now, if you do have a wall behind you, I am suggesting an inversion, just for a few breaths to get our legs up. But it could be that you want to experiment a little bit with the extension of your backline. So I'll give you two options. Option number one is a classical legs up the wall pose of Viparita Karani, as you lean to the side and then bring your legs up and relax the arms out. If this is you, perfectly fine. You might pop your rolled up towel or block underneath the hips and go about like this. Or you might lie with your head facing the wall, a bit away from the wall. As you're lifting your hips up, I'm still too close, so I will move a little bit further away. And so you can hold onto your hips and place your feet against the wall. I suggest in that case, as it's more of a plow pose in a supported way, to let your shoulders slide in to keep your gaze lifted and the back of the neck away from the ground. If you can hold here with a lot of ease, you can release the hands and interlace the fingers. This is a much stronger variation than the legs up the wall pose. So I won't hold you in either for too long. If you can, breathe another 3 deep, full yogi breaths. Once you have completed those, remove yourself from this shape. And as you might roll over onto your side, take your block or whatever it is that you are using instead of the block. We've done a lot around our hips. We've extended, we tried to free them up. I would love to add a bit of freedom to the more upper back and shoulder area. So placing the block down flat, but lengthwise over the mat. If your neck is happy, you don't need a second cushioning behind here. If you feel your neck is sore, place another cushion or block, kind of T-shape behind. We will turn our backs towards the blocks and use our fingers behind our back to slide the block just towards, with the shorter end, towards the lower ribs or bra line, and then recline over it. So with another cushioning underneath the head would be well supported and the neck kind of free, no strain or stress. If you don't need that, you can let the head drop back, open your throat. I suggest to start with your feet on the ground, maybe even knees dropping in. If your lower back is comfortable with it, you could instead extend your legs out and relax them there. Feel what's happening in between your shoulder blades. You might feel the squeeze of the shoulder blades against the block. That's why we placed it there in this way. If you can't feel your shoulder blades touching the edges of the block, you might want to shuffle the block a little bit around. It might be either too low, which is likely, more likely at least, than too high. If you're feeling brilliant right here as is, please stay. Otherwise, you might choose to move both arms up towards the space over the head, just along the floor as we're breathing in. And then bending the elbows as you're coming back down with the arms out to the sides. So on the inhale, extending both arms, just sliding the hands across the floor. And on the out breath, squeezing them back down. So you get a sensation of massaging that inside of the shoulder blades along the edges of the block. And you could use the mudra again in your hands if you feel that's appropriate. Let's have one more movement. And then just resting in that shape. Notice if your shoulder blades are still touching the block. If you can release the shoulders a little bit more. Now, if you're still holding the mudra, release that. Place your hands now down by your sides. Step your feet a little bit onto the floor. I know we can't step them down a little. What I mean with that is the feet are quite far away from your body. Dig your elbows into the ground. Begin to tuck your chin in as you lift away from your block or blocks. And then lie yourself right back down onto your back. I will ask you to grab your strap if you brought one along. If you didn't, you can just simply hold onto the leg, and also if that's more comfortable to do. So we will bring our strap around the arch of the right foot and slide our hands down either side, maybe wrapping our hands once around the strap. Softening the shoulders down. Foot might be in flexion to start with, and you can choose what to do with the left one. Keep it on the ground or extend the leg out. And you might try and point the foot and kind of holding onto the strap quite firmly. And then to flex the foot again, keep the firm hold and breathe out to draw the leg in a little bit. As you're inhaling, pointing the toes up. And as you exhale, push the heel up and maybe draw the leg in a little bit more. We'll do that for another breath as we're pointing. And then flexing and pulling in. Allow this knee to bend now so you can release your strap and place your right ankle on top of your left thigh so you can drop your knee out. You might push that knee out a little bit. If this doesn't do much for you, you can lift your left foot off the ground and reach for behind the left thigh, using the right elbow to keep the right knee out for a figure 4. We're hugging both legs in towards our body. And likely you feel that stretch around your glutes rather than the backs of your legs. Simply holding as you inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Then let your left foot land again if it was lifted. Step the right one to the ground. Let your arms relax for a breath. You might grab your strap again if you're using it and swing it around the arch of the left foot. Otherwise, hold on to the back of the leg where it feels comfortable. If you're using the strap, you might wrap your hands around, elbows, shoulders on the ground. While you're holding here, explore what to do with the right leg. Keep it on the floor or extend it out. And then as you're next inhaling, point your toes up. Feel tension in the strap as you're holding on. And then flex the foot as you breathe out, so the heel is pushing up, and you might draw on your strap to get the leg in a bit more. Breathe in, point your foot, hold firmly. And as you breathe out, flex the foot and draw in a bit more. We'll do that one more time, inhaling, pointing your foot. And then in the flexion, drawing the leg in a little bit more. Noticing how you're feeling. If you've gained a little bit of mobility, doesn't mean that needs to be visible. It's just feeling sensations that we're going by. And then bending the knee to release the strap as you place your left ankle on top of the right thigh. You could use your left hand to encourage the knee open and away, and this might be plenty for you to do. Otherwise, you could lift your right foot off the floor and take a hold of the back of the right thigh, using your left elbow to guide your knee outwards and draw your legs inwards. As we hold here, notice the experiences on this side. Maybe you're feeling things quite different. And be that just a different area of the buttocks that notices the stretch. One more full breath in and out to hold. And then releasing. As you step your feet to the ground, let your arms relax. I invite you to gather everything that you like to have for relaxation. Maybe a bolster under the knees, cushion under the head. What you could do is also place that rolled up towel just across your very upper back. I quite like that currently with my issues around the shoulder, but I also find this being quite nice. So it's below the shoulders, roughly at the edge towards the armpit. But the arms are relaxed away from the body if you do choose to place that little challenge underneath. You might want to wiggle a little bit over it, feeling the benefit of the towel, maybe releasing some fascia there. Your legs can be bent over the bolster, or you can have your legs out long. And I invite you back into Surya Mudra, in the ring finger towards the base of the thumb crossing over the ring finger, the other fingers softly extended. As you release into a more relaxed state now, inviting the stillness. And while you leave your body resting there, maybe the mudra in your hands, noticing the sensations in the hands. Notice if these sensations reappear elsewhere in the body. They may or they may not. Allowing the breath to remain gentle and calm. And either just resting here, and if the mudra drifts open, that's fine too. But maybe you would like to visualize a golden sun at the center of your being, infusing you with the fire element's essential qualities. Begin by sensing the light and warmth of the sun's golden rays, bathing your digestive system, enhancing the power of transformation and assimilation of nutrients. Allow that for several breaths to stimulate digestive organs, supporting them in their function, nourishing every cell of your body with vital energy. Let the light of your inner sun now encompass your thoughts and feelings, allowing you to digest life experiences more easily, while releasing accumulated emotions and memories that drain your energy. Now let the light of your inner sun illuminate your vision, allowing you to perceive your life purpose more clearly. Take a few breaths to envision the unfolding of all your possibilities while naturally receiving the determination to overcome any obstacles along your journey. Let the rays of your inner sun grow in intensity, then naturally burn away any clouds of doubt and lethargy, allowing you to manifest your vision completely. If you like, you can affirm your radiant energy as you repeat the following 3 times, silently or aloud, after me. Awakening my inner sun's radiant energy, I live with abundant vitality. Awakening my inner sun's radiant energy, I live with abundant vitality. Awakening my inner sun's radiant energy, I live with abundant vitality. As you release your mudra now, take time to absorb the light of your inner sun. And then let your body gently move as you breathe more deeply. Might even want to have a stretch before you turn to your side or sit up over the front of the body, joining me in a seated shape. We'll once more allow the sun to be with us as we take a deep breath in, reaching both arms out and up over the head, touching the palms together now as we draw our hands right down in front of the chest. Let the heart lift lightly to the head as you bow the head lightly to the heart. Still feeling that lift also in your solar plexus area. We'll complete with the chant once of Om Ram. Breathing in. Om Ram. From there we will share our inner light with each other. Namaste.